there's so many stories about people who said they felt so isolated, guide dog owners or people with visual impairment or people who lived in isolation, who couldn't go out or didn't want to, they just didn't have the confidence, and how the dog just opened those doors and how that changed their lives, how their social life changed, how they were able to meet new people and make new friends and feel confident going out and about, knowing that they have the dog by their side to guide them and navigate through a world that isn't really geared for people with disabilities.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Pause and Effect podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Cara. And before we get into the conversation with SA Guide Dogs, I want to take a moment to say thank you to Stitch, who have sponsored the scrubs that I'm wearing today. I decided to move away from usual black and try something a little softer. And honestly, I love it. At Hillcrest Vets, our whole team, including our receptionist, wear Stitch scrubs. They're durable, comfortable, and made for the kind of work that we do every day. Sitting on floors, lifting dogs, working in every season. If you're in practice and haven't tried them yet, have a look for their latest range. You'll feel the difference. Now, for today's conversation, they don't just guide, they heal, they empower, they connect. SA Guide Dogs aren't just service animals, they're life changers. And today I'm joined by Melanie Nel, who works with the SA Guide Dogs Association, and it puts her at the heart of some of the most meaningful human-animal partnerships out there. We're going to explore the training, the transformation, and the emotional depth of this work. And I guarantee you'll walk away seeing dogs in a whole new light. If this episode moves you, and I think it will, share it with someone who needs to be reminded of the power of connection between humans and animals. Follow the podcast by subscribing and consider supporting SA Guide Dogs in any way that you can. So a very warm welcome to the Pause and Effect podcast. This is Melanie, and you are from Guide Dogs South Africa. What an absolute honor to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It is an honor, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
Oh, I'm so excited, and I've got to kind of rein it in so that I am having a discussion for my listeners rather than asking my selfish questions, because there are so many things that I want to know about the work that you are doing. So before we get started and discuss Guide Dogs SA, I'd love to know a little bit more about you and how you feature in this and how you came about working in this phenomenal organization. Tell us about you.
Sure. So I have been with the SA Guide Dogs Association for almost 9 years, just short of 9 years. And I was working in a corporate environment, but I always wanted to work in nonprofit, but I'm also on a more personal level, someone who has low vision. I have a genetic eye condition, and I was just thinking about how can I find maybe a nonprofit organization that there's a bit of synergy on a personal level as well towards something that I'm also going through. And I was doing some research. We moved up here to Johannesburg for my partner's job. And then I came across the Guide Dogs Association, and I don't know if I'll call it coincidence or maybe how the plan had to work out, but they were very in close proximity to where we were living at the time. And I was like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to just send my CV. There wasn't really any job opportunities at the association at that stage. But I was just like, let's try it. And I didn't hear from them for a while. They said that, there's nothing at the moment, but they're going to, just keep my things on file. So I was a bit disappointed at that point. And I think 8 or 9 months later, at that point, I've forgotten about, ever phoning them or contacting them. And out of the blue, I heard, listen, it's SA Guide Dogs. We have an opportunity within our marketing department. Are you still interested? Are you still available? And I jumped at the opportunity to go and work for the organization just because of what they stand for and their mission, and the work that they do specifically with persons with visual impairment, but also with persons with other disabilities. And of course, the dog element is very special. I am an animal lover, love dogs, love cats, actually everything. So it was a great opportunity at the time for me, and I jumped at it, and I've learned so much over all these years. I didn't specifically have a marketing background. I have a background in social sciences, so dabbled a bit in a bit of everything related to human behavior. But I thought, it's a learning opportunity as well. And that's exactly what it was. A huge learning curve for me. And now I've been there for many years. It's flown by, but it's been so great. Just getting to know not only your team and the rest of the association and the persons and the donors, the wonderful donors who support us, but the clients, the people whose lives we change every day. So
it's giving me absolute goosebumps. It was fate. It was clearly fate that you found this position. So you talk about the core missions. Tell us a little bit more about what SA Guide Dogs stand for and what their ultimate mission is.
So the mission of SA Guide Dogs Association is to ultimately enhance the lives of visually impaired as well as physically disabled persons within South Africa, as well as help with the developmental needs of children on the autism spectrum. So the Guide Dogs Association primarily, and also since they were established, has always been focused on the training of guide dogs specifically for the blind or persons with visual impairment. And that is still our primary focus and a huge part of the work that we do. But our mission over all these years, our mission has also adapted a bit to persons with other needs and some people with other disabilities who we could also help through our dog training programs, which is just amazing. So we've been around for a long time. This year we will turn 72. Yeah, 72 years old. Yes. So early 1950s is when the association was established. And we are, I think to this day, still just going after that mission, to enhance the lives of persons with disabilities within South Africa.
That's wonderful work. And in terms of this, I'm sure my listeners are dying to hear about the dogs because, we all animal lovers.
Yes.
When obviously typically think about guide dogs, we imagine one particular breed, but talk about breed selection generally and the kind of breeds that you're working for. And I suppose how you go about selecting those breeds for the right purpose.
Yeah. So I can only speak for the SA Guide Dogs Association, but we are also a member of IGDF, which stands for the International Guide Dog Federation. So we have relationships and ties with other guide dog schools across the world. And primarily it is the Labrador Retriever that is used for the type of work that we train our dogs to do, guiding and also service dogs. And there's obviously various reasons for it, but I think for us at the SA Guide Dogs and for our training department specifically, they always emphasize that our Labrador Retrievers are, food driven. So, and that is true of any lab. And because our training methodology is positive reinforcement, food is and treats is something that we use on a regular basis within our training programs to actually get a very young puppy to start following cues and start listening to their handlers and their trainers and kind of forming a very nice baseline in our puppy training program. So that's one of the reasons. And also Labradors are very social dogs and they can become a very special part of a family unit, which is important to us because our clients who receive the dogs are all part of social and family groups. And it is important for us that dog really becomes a part of your family. So Labradors are great at that. I mean, everyone loves them. You see a Labrador and you just want to hug it or, cuddle with it. So very social, very adaptable as well. So Labrador Retrievers can adapt easily because our dogs, maybe later on in the conversation, we'll talk about the different phases and the training journey, but they have to go through various stages and also phases of training where they are with different people. So they start out as young puppies with us and then they go to volunteers and then it's training and then they actually are matched with their owner. So they constantly also have to adapt a little bit to a different person handling them. And if you socialize them well from a young age and you get them used to actually adapting to various environments and exposing them enough, Labradors are so resilient and they just adapt so easily, where you do find that some other dog breeds, bond really closely just to that one person, and it's really hard for them just to transition from phase to phase. So yes, Labradors have been known to be one of the best type of working dog lines for what we do at the SA Guide Dogs Association. And to this day, we still use Labradors. We do have Golden Retrievers on our program as well, or sometimes we breed a cross. So we'll have a Lab Golden Retriever crossbreed, which we'll also use. So those would be the main ones that we focus on specifically.
Absolutely. And very, like you said, they too are very food driven, very sturdy and family orientated dogs. So yeah, lovely. Hi there, pet parents. This is Dr. Cara, the Ultra Pet Vet. I'm excited to introduce Ultra Pet's premium recipe for miniature and small breeds. Ultra Pet's smaller kibble size combined with calcium and phosphorus helps keep their teeth in tip-top shape. We've added omega-3 to support their heart function while keeping your little ones strong and healthy. Ultra Pet has included chondroitin, glucosamine, and green lip mussel extract to help your dog's joints, and L-carnitine to manage weight. Prebiotics play a crucial role in maintaining a healthy digestive system by nourishing the good bacteria in your dog's gut. The best part? Ultra Pet offers a 100% money-back guarantee. Visit your local vet or pet store to make the switch now. In terms of breed selection, obviously we know as veterinarians that there are issues with inbreeding of particular breeds, and there have been concerns obviously with various breeds of conditions like elbow dysplasia or hip issues. How do you manage the genetic selection of these so that they are healthy? So what is the process that you go through in order to produce healthy dogs that are going to be with these families and suffer fewer genetic predispositions?
So we have a team which is head up by our head of kennels and puppy raising, Lida Balfour. And she and her team closely look at when we want to breed, especially with regards to our genetic lines. We actually send our females. So we would have our female dog selection from our pool that we actually breed. So we would have some of our females who go for testing. If we see that they have a great temperament, they are healthy, they have a good line or a good bloodline, we would send them for genetic testing and DNA testing and analysis, just to make sure that there isn't anything, like in their history or in their line that's going to be problematic. And the way that we match them then with our studs. So we used to have, we still do. I think we do both now, a little bit of both. But we used to only do stud selection from other guide dog schools across the world. So we wouldn't actually breed just within the South African pool because it's so small. And you do find that then it's usually when problems occur. So it's a little bit of later down the line, there's a bit of inbreeding. So we would select studs from across the world. Guide dog schools that we have good relationships with would send us frozen semen. And our process of insemination would be artificial insemination, which we would be, we get support from Onderstepoort, a veterinary school, that help us with that process. So the stud selection is the same. So with getting the frozen semen from other guide dog schools, we also get all of their kind of genetic analysis. So Lee and her team would sit and they would analyze both of those so that we actually have the best match. So from a female and male perspective, and hopefully then be able to have puppies that are healthy and strong without, any problems down the line. But we also introduced a process of x-rays at 4 months old. So we used to only do x-rays when they were 12 months old, where we would do a full x-ray panel. We would look at any skeletal issues or not issues, and then also determine what needs to happen next. But with the help of a lot of, experts in their field, they suggested to us that at the age of 16 weeks, all of our puppies that are on the training program, on the scheme, go for full x-rays, especially focused on elbows and hips, so that we can determine if there's any issues at that stage. With elbows, usually if there's any issues or we pick anything up that could potentially in future be an issue, they do an elbow scope. So some of our younger pups would then have to go through that at that specific stage. The details of that and exactly what type of surgery and operation that is, I can't comment on. As a marketing coordinator, I don't have all that insight, but we do that usually with the younger dogs so that as they grow, when they do get to 12 months and we do another scan and we do x-rays, it really, really helps us to have better results than we used to have with waiting until the age of 12 months to do that with specifically elbows. Hip dysplasia, we actually haven't seen a lot of cases of that. I think it's also, to give Lee and her team credit on how they have done breeding and analysis of genetic lines to actually help us to not fully eliminate, but to a large extent eliminate that. But if we do pick it up, if there are puppies or younger dogs that we pick it up on the scans at an early age, obviously those dogs will not be able to go through and graduate to a full work life as a guide or service dogs. Because we have to give a dog to a client or one of our, a person who we don't want them to actually be dealing with any health issues. We want a dog to go out to work that is healthy and happy, and it's going to work well with that person as a unit. As soon as we pick up any type of health issue that we can't remedy or can't fix, like for instance, skin is a big thing also, skin allergies, we have to change that dog's career. So they won't make the full program. So yes, there are dogs that won't actually graduate to become assistance dogs.
So from screening of genetic issues, or like you say, even down to allergies, and the other thing you're looking for is obviously temperament. Let's walk through the journey so that we can understand the process of from being born in South Africa to being selected as a vital role in a family. Take us through the path, please.
Right. So we are very fortunate to have this breeding program that we work with at the SA Guide Dogs Association. And when our puppies are born, they are born at our training centers. So we have brood stock holders, so some of our volunteer families that actually look after and take very, very good care of our broods in our stock. And when they are inseminated, and they do obviously regular pregnancy tests and make sure that that female is doing well and she's strong and getting everything that she needs, she comes into whelp a couple of days before her due date. And we have a special center at our main training center in Johannesburg, the Puppy Block. So the Puppy Block is a magical place. That is where all our babies are born, and that's where they start their life with the SA Guide Dogs Association. So they will stay there under very, very close supervision of a wonderful team of experts and volunteers, where they'll be with their mom and their siblings for at least the first 7 to 8 weeks of their lives. So we obviously take care of them. We make sure that they get, from a nutrition perspective, everything that they need, stimulation, exposure at a little bit of an older age, maybe around 3 to 4 or 5 weeks, a bit of exposure, and they start to actually become puppies with, they look like Labrador puppies. They play, they start to explore the world. And we have a little program that we run with them, our volunteers, very short, but also very important, where they are exposed to noises and different sounds within the puppy center. They get to walk on different surfaces. We expose them to toys. So it's really like a creche in there. If you get to visit the puppies, it's just toys everywhere. It's a wonderful place. So they play and they explore and they sleep and they eat and they get their nutrition and all of the things that they need to become healthy and strong. And at the age of about 8 weeks is when they have to leave the puppy center to go to volunteer families, which we call puppy raisers. So our puppy raising families are a crucial part of our training journey for our dogs. And these are families who say, look, I want to, in some shape or form, give back. I love dogs. My family loves dogs. And we want to raise a puppy who will one day go out and go work and go and change someone's life. So they take that puppy into their home, and that dog becomes part of their family and under supervision as well. So we will allocate one of our supervisors, puppy raising supervisors, to a specific group of puppy raisers. So we don't just hand you the puppy and say, good luck, we'll see you in like 1.5 years when the dog is ready to come in and come for formal training. We help you and we guide you through the process. And I think one of the most important things of our puppy raising program is socialization of those young dogs and their exposure to the world, because we want them to come into formal training kind of well-rounded, exposed to things that, that the world is going to throw at them. So distractions, other people of different age groups, ethnicities, different public spaces. So our puppy raiser families take that dog everywhere. So that dog is like their child, that goes with the family wherever they go. It has to go so that they can get that type of exposure. And we also run specific class sessions with them. So the supervisor will arrange class sessions with all of the siblings, or even just open class with a lot of the different dogs on the program, the younger dogs. And they would do a lot of specific training. It can entail things like leash walking, distraction training, meeting other animals on a touch farm, or taking them out and about to social and public, very busy public spaces, going out to a coffee shop and just having to learn to lie still or be still next to your puppy raiser while they have a cup of coffee, to be exposed to other dog breeds in a safe environment. So all of those types of socialization activities is a crucial part of the puppy raising scheme. And while they go through that process for at least, it's going to be about 16 to 18 months, during that process, our supervisors will keep a report on each of our dogs, each of the puppies that grow and learn, and however they go through that phase, there's a report that is kept about them, because it's important for us to track how the dog is doing, what type of temperament are they showcasing, and what are they good at doing? What do they love to do? What are the things that they are a bit hesitant to do? So all of those things are important, especially for our trainers. So eventually, at kind of a later stage, after a year, closer to 14, 15 months, we do what we call BCL testing with the dogs as well, where we go through a behavioral checklist. So that would be a process that the supervisor overseas and the trainers are also involved, so that they can get a good grip of who is this dog, and what type of career do we think this dog would be good at. So if they go for guide dog training, would guide dog training suit them? Would they be well suited to be a service dog or an autism support dog? So all of those things like temperament, what behaviors do they showcase? Are they distracted by certain things? Are they not? Are they very calm? Are they very driven? Are they very focused? Do they, how do they walk? Do they walk really well in a straight line? Do they like to do specific activities like pick up things in their mouths? So there's all sorts of assessments and checklists that they go through. And then at the age of about 16, 18 months, as I've said, they are called back to the Guide Dogs Association for what we call formal training. Or we always say it's then, like your child leaving school, graduating, and then having to go to university. So now they have to come and study a specific career path. So they are then taken in by us. So the puppy raisers have to bring them back. So it's a sad, as well as proud, very proud moment for puppy raising families to hand that dog into our training department to say, look, I've done everything. I've put all my love, my patience, training into this dog. I worked really hard on specific things, and here he is or here she is, and please take good care of them. And then they go off with their trainer, where they then stay with us Monday to Friday, where our trainers have access to the dogs on a daily basis, and they follow then a very specific focus program, whether it's guide dog training, service dog training, or autism support dog training. And Monday to Friday, they stay with us in our kennel facility on our property, and our trainers work with them. And Friday afternoons, they are collected by their puppy raising families, and they can go home for the weekend. So it's like boarding school. So they board with us, and weekends they can go home and just rest and relax and, be ready for Monday when they're dropped off again for the next week. So that process takes about 5 to 6 months or 5 to 7 months, just depending on the dog and their progress. And only after that, our trainers deem them to be ready to be matched with a client. So then they have to go to the drawing board and actually say, right, so these dogs that have been with us training, we have these clients or this list of clients that have been waiting for a dog. Is it a good match? Who can we match the dog to? What happens next? For which person is this dog suited? And then they call the clients and call up the clients to say, look, you've been waiting a long time, sometimes a very long time, sometimes short, just depending on how the matching works. And we have a dog for you. So are you available to come on class? Are you available for us to come and train you with your new guide or service or autism support dog? And that's the process. So in its entirety, it takes about 2 years, maybe just over 2 years for a fully qualified guide or service dog to be ready to go and work with a person. So it's a long journey.
It's a long journey, but they obviously reach their longer term family at the right sort of age when they've reached maturity.
That's true. Yeah.
The correct level of training. So in terms of the trainers, what is the kind of training or how do you become a trainer?
So, well, it depends. So some of our trainers that have been with us for a long time, some of them do have some background in either animal behavior or specifically dog training, or they've done some courses. But in our training department, when you are interested in applying or there is an opening we call it like almost like an internship. So you come and work for us as a guide or service dog trainer, but you also have to study while you are there and study specifically within the guide dog training department, if that is what you're interested in, or if you join our service dog department, your training is focused on training service dogs for persons with physical disabilities, or the autism support dog also falls under the umbrella of our service dog department. So you come in as an intern. So as you do your practical with a senior guide dog mobility instructor or a senior service dog instructor, you learn as you go. So it's practical, a lot of observation, a lot of helping with the dogs, but there is supervision, and you write tests and you write exams. And after, I think it's 2 or 3 years, you then qualify after your final exams. You qualify as either a GDMI, so that's a guide dog mobility instructor, or a service dog instructor. So service dog instructors also get exposure to autism support dog training. So then you have those two. And that's how our trainers, they're very specialized. I think they've specialized a lot in that specific training of a dog for that career. And they also have to work with our clients. So it takes a really special person, not only someone who loves dogs, but someone who loves to help people. So that's a very special combination for them to be working with our clients. And then you work with persons with disabilities, varying disabilities, and also with families, a family unit who has a child on the autism spectrum, and you need to actually go and train within their home environment. So our trainers, take my hat off to them, very hardworking and very special people on our team. Yeah.
I can imagine. And what a rewarding career.
Yes.
That's phenomenal. So I would love to understand and have a bit of a discussion about public etiquette generally and inclusion. You know, we don't often have the opportunity to come across a service dog or a guide dog. And when we do, we don't really know what to do. What are the do's and don'ts for my listeners if you do come across? Is it acceptable to, for example, greet them? Are you doing the right thing by including and greeting them? You know, tell us how we as the general public should be handling these dogs and their owners.
Okay, so just to start out with is to explain how would this dog look like, because there's a lot of wonderful organizations who also train what we call service dogs, but for various reasons or different reasons. So you'll also find you have organizations who train medical alert dogs, which is a whole other specialized field. People who train dogs for anxiety, PTSD, and other mental health challenges. So for the SA Guide Dogs Association's part, so you will come across a dog which will most probably be a Labrador or a Golden Retriever, wearing a guide dog harness. So the harness is made of dark brown leather, and you'll see that the person with visual impairment is actually walking beside the dog or sitting beside the dog, and the dog's harness has a very specific, almost like a rounded, half semi-rounded steel band or steel handle. And on the handle, there's usually a bright yellow sticker that says, "Do not disturb me," or "Do not disturb." Because that is I guess that is how we know that, okay, this dog is actually a working dog and this is a guide dog. Our service dogs are recognized by their bright red jackets. So they have a bright red jacket on that has reflector strips on the side, most probably. And on the back, where the dog's back is on that section, it's printed that this is a service dog. Also, "Do not disturb." And usually it has our logo on to also showcase that this dog has been trained by the SA Guide Dogs Association. Autism support, very, very special harness. So they have also a very bright red jacket and very distinguishable two leashes. Two leashes. One is for the parent or the guardian, and then the child is usually walking right beside the dog. They also have a leash that they are holding on to. For very young children or younger children, there's also a waist harness that they most often wear when they are walking with their dog and their family. So that would be how we recognize these working dogs. And then etiquette around approaching them. So I do understand, and I fully understand us as dog lovers, you just want to run up to the dog. I think that's the first thing you see is usually just the dog, and they are beautiful. It's either a Labrador or a beautiful Golden Retriever, and you just want to either pat them or touch their head or touch their ears, or you want to hug them, or call them. Or get their attention focused on you, which is not great etiquette when we have a person who is relying on this dog and they are in full work mode, especially guide dogs. I'm not saying service dogs are different, but guide dogs, they are guiding someone who does have no idea about their surroundings, especially if it's a new environment for them, or it's maybe some of the first times that they walk that route with the dog. So the dog is focused. They are actually that person's eyes. They are guiding them in a straight line, trying to avoid obstacles, trying to avoid other people. So distractions are the last thing that they need. So instead of approaching the dog, I know it's really hard, but the public needs to ignore the dog. And if you want to approach the person who is working with the dog, you are most welcome to do so, especially if it's a guide dog owner that's standing still. Maybe they're waiting for someone, or they are sitting, down on a bench or a chair, and they're also waiting for someone, perhaps. Usually then it's okay to approach them. Maybe just first approach the person. Always acknowledge them first, not the dog, because they don't know that you are trying to pet the dog or calling the dog or please don't give the dog any food or any snacks or any treats. That's a big, big no-no. So approach the person, say, "Hi, good morning, sir," or "Hi, this is who I am. I can see, you have a guide dog. I've learned about guide dogs, or I know about guide dogs. I can see that you are working with them. Is it okay if I say hi to your dog, or tell me more about him or her?" So engage with the person firstly. And I think that's important, to acknowledge them and then acknowledge the animal, where I know as animal lovers, we sometimes do the reverse. And I manage a schools program in the Gauteng region. And I always say to the children as well, because they say, but they just want to say hi to the dog. And I say, but just remember that you also, just in general, you never know, you shouldn't approach strange dogs. You don't know if they are friendly. Yes, in general, our guide dogs and service dogs are friendly, but you don't know if a dog is friendly or not friendly, or if they would like you or don't want you to touch them, and they might react in a way that you don't like. So always acknowledge the person first, say that you know what the dog is doing, or ask them to tell you more. And then they most probably will say, in most circumstances, they'll say, "You know what? Yes, you're welcome to say hi." Or if they are working and they focus and they don't want the dog to be distracted, they might say to you, "Look, I'm really sorry, but in this instance, no, please don't say hi to the dog, or please don't distract the dog. They are trying to focus and they're helping me to get from point A to point B." And then we have to accept that, because they are the owner. It is their working dog, and they are a very, very tight unit, and it is important for the dog to focus and not be distracted. So I know it's hard, and I know, but it's something that we also learn. Even at the association, even when we see our trainers out and about, as staff members and as their colleagues, we don't just go up to the dog while they're walking in the passageway or when they're walking out on the routes on campus and just go and play with the dog. That's also for us as staff a big no-no, because the trainer is busy with a training session. So the dog has to focus, and they have to listen to their handler and be focused on them and what they're doing at that moment.
Absolutely. I so agree. Now, let's talk about public spaces, because I know that South Africa may be a little bit behind the times in terms of the access of pets to airplanes, for example, or restaurants or shops. Has it improved? Have you seen an improvement in public access for these dogs?
Yeah, so I can vouch for that from the SA Guide Dogs Association side. At least we have a department that forms part of our public relations department that works really hard and works a lot on accessibility and accessibility rights specifically for assistance dogs. So that would be our guide dogs that we train, service dogs and autism support dogs. And when we do come across an incident, or maybe an owner contacts us, or a family says, look, we tried to go to this restaurant, or we tried to enter this retail shop or this center or whatever, and we were denied, they usually get in touch with us. And then my colleague, Peter van der Kerk, who heads up that access and accessibility unit, he would get in touch then with that specific center and then start engaging with them. So look, the last thing we want to do is always fight, and especially not on social media platforms or any social platforms where we start like a back and forth with public and with the center and or with the shop or the restaurant or whatever. We want to engage with them from an educational perspective and create more awareness about what is an assistance dog, or what do they do for that person? Why is it important to allow them, and why should it happen? Why is it within our legislation that you are actually not supposed to deny a person that comes in with their guide dog or their service dog or autism support dog? But it is an ongoing conversation, and it is something that we have had instances where, some groups or people or centers or even, big companies just wouldn't budge, and then it becomes a human rights case or a violation that we actually say, look, it is not right, and there has been court cases that we have won, or then the owner has won because of instances like that. So it is something that we just try and constantly educate people on, create more awareness. And I think if they understand the workings of a guide dog owner with their guide dog or service dog owner with their service dog, and really understand that that dog isn't a pet. They're not there as a pet. At that moment when they are wearing that harness or they wear that jacket, they are actually a working unit with that person. And taking that away means that you're also taking away the rights of that person to be in a public space and move around and navigate independently within a public space. And you allow all of us to do that. Walk around in your shops and do shopping and go into the centers. And they are a working unit. The dog is as much a part of that person, and that is why it's important for us to allow that. But there's still a lot to do and a lot to be said about that. And oftentimes it's also not so much maybe that specific brand or that specific franchise or whatever it might be, or the restaurant. It could also be that a lot of times they have contracts with specific like security companies. And oftentimes it's the problem actually occurs right by the door. It's not necessarily when they are in the shop or the manager allows them to go in and do what they need to do. It's sometimes at the security, because they have been trained, rightfully so, to say that no dogs are allowed in this restaurant or in the shop, which is right. But no dogs allowed also is an umbrella term So they just see a dog. They don't understand, if it's an assistance dog, is that different from just a normal dog on a leash? What is the difference there? So we've also actually tried to and have had conversations with those security companies that are contracted by a lot of centers and shopping malls and public spaces and restaurants to say, we would like to have a conversation with you and come and give training and explain to your employees what is the difference and why is it allowed and why are certain things not allowed, which I think is a real great breakthrough, because if you can educate and create awareness at that first line of defense, if I can call it that, it will make our clients' lives a little bit easier, because you don't want to stand there and have, like a back and forth situation where someone's emotions start taking over, or they become, kind of aggressive, or and also that's the last thing we want our owners to experience. They are already, just trying to be contributing members of society, just do their thing and go out every day and just be, in quotation marks, just living in their lives in a normal way. And having to encounter that every single time you go to a public space that's unfortunate.
It must be difficult. It must be really difficult for them.
Yeah.
So I can imagine you have hundreds of stories, but is there one that really sticks in your memory of how a life was changed with the gift, I suppose, of a dog?
Oh, wow. There are many stories.
I know.
There's so many stories.
Anything that comes to mind? Give me one.
So I must say, I can sit here and quote a lot of our clients and what they've told us. But I went to our autism support dog, or our service dog department actually had a specific talk and a symposium. I think it was sometime last year, maybe late last year, about the role of an autism support dog and how we train them and why it's important, etc. And at this conference, we invited some of our families to come and join us, and actually asked some of the parents to give their testimony and kind of witness about how this dog has really changed their lives. And like the one parent said, they always had to. It has always been such a big, for a mission, I guess, if I can call it that, or such a big thing for the family just to go out to the shops and buy milk, or buy, dinner, or get something. And especially she did say, look, I often am home, with my child, and I need to run an errand. I need to go out and about and do things for my family while my partner is working or at work or whatever. And it's just such a mission, because the child isn't comfortable in environments that they don't know. Sometimes it's very overstimulating, and to try and do your shopping or try and run an errand, and you have to keep an eye on this child who likes to bolt away or run away or just put themselves in dangerous situations. It's such a stressful situation. And it's to hear that and think, but, just quickly running to the shop. It should be something that's normal or easy to do. And this mom...
You take it for granted.
Yeah, we take it for granted. And this mom who wanted, was looking after a child, she can't leave him alone at home. He has to come along. And she says since they got their autism support dog, it's just been like the small thing that she thought she would never be able to just do like a normal mom. Put your kids in the car, go to the shop, buy dinner, or buy something to make for dinner, or buy your groceries, is now so much easier. She can relax a little bit with the dog there by her side while they are walking. The child is with their dog walking calmly. They don't want to run away. They want to be with their dog. It's their companion. It's their sense of security. It's their support. It's just something so small, and it really, really touched me. And I thought, wow, we obviously think all our dogs are great and we love them and we see them grow up and they go through the program and they graduate and we say goodbye. But you never think of, okay, so we saw them here at the association and we saw their journey. And now they're out and about, they're doing something, changing lives, as we say. But really understanding how they are changing those lives on a daily basis, with daily family life, with daily challenges, with daily struggles, with daily, that really touched me. And I was like, wow, we are, and our trainers who train those dogs and make them ready to go and be that support and be that companion, was really special for me. So, but there's so many, many, many stories about people who said they felt so isolated, guide dog owners or people with visual impairment or people who lived in isolation, who couldn't go out or didn't want to, they just didn't have the confidence, and how the dog just opened those doors and how that changed their lives, how their social life changed, how they were able to meet new people and make new friends and feel confident going out and about, knowing that they have the dog by their side to guide them and navigate through a world that isn't really geared for people with disabilities. So, that's very special.
That's wonderful. Very, very special. I agree. And in terms of, these dogs are in prime condition, and you obviously want them to maintain that. What is the expectation in terms of preventative healthcare, nutrition, vaccinations? How do you guide the new owners, and how do you manage these dogs longer term?
Yeah, so that's a very important conversation that we have with the owners, not only when we've actually matched them, but when they apply. So our clients who want guide dogs or service dogs or feel that they are at the point where they are ready for a dog, they fill in an application form. So they apply, and that's the first contact they have with the association. And then our trainers and instructors actually go out. They call them, they visit them, they go and interview them face to face and do a lot of due diligence to make sure that this dog is going to be in an environment where they are loved and they are cared for, and that they actually do the work that they've been trained for. That is just as important to us, that the dog is going to go out and use the skills that they have been training to do and to use. That's really important for us, because a lot of hard work and resources went into getting them ready to go and work and be a person's eyes or help them, with their daily tasks at home. So that's important. And we do have to ask hard questions like, what is your position from a financial perspective? Can you take care? This is what it's going to cost you. So our trainers are very open and honest with our clients about, this is a month, this is what you will have monthly to need to take care of the dog. This is what the dog is going to have to, this is what they eat, this is what dog food costs, this is when they have to have their vaccinations. And what we do at the Guide Dogs Association is, when our owners are matched with a dog, they sign a contract with us to say that I have accepted these and these responsibilities. This is my contract with you. So yes, the dog then becomes the owner's responsibility, from taking care of them, feeding them, making sure they have their regular tick and flea and all of that, and actually take them for checkups and all their vaccinations kept up to date. But so that owner is responsible, but we also do annual visits. So we always keep track of the dogs, even up until the day that they retire. So even though we're not the owners anymore, it's not our dog. The dog does belong to that person. Our trainers still make an effort to visit on an annual basis, or we call it routine visits. So a routine visit would be to go and check in, ask how everything's going, how the working unit is, how are they doing? Is the dog okay? Are they still working well? Is there anything that they're struggling with? And then they also check the condition that the dog is in to make sure that they are still taken care of, that everything's well. And if there are certain aspects that they need to advise on for the owner, they will do that and be honest with them to say, look, I think you need to watch their weight a bit, or I think we need to do this, or maybe you should look into XYZ to make sure that the dog is taken care of. So we keep tabs, if I can call it that, keep tabs on them for their whole working career. And we will also advise our owner when it's time to retire a dog. Because some dogs, depending on their health, depending on, how they age, at some point they have to retire, to say they can no longer be a working dog. They've now reached the age or the point where we have to retire them. So that's also that's also not an easy conversation and an easy step for the owner to take, but it's necessary for the dogs, obviously for their health and their well-being. So yes, we obviously, when they're on the program with us, they have to follow a specific diet. We are quite strict about weight management. It's important, especially Labradors and Goldens, because of their hips and elbows. As soon as overweight dogs are not healthy dogs, and it places a lot of pressure on their joints. So we watch their weight. They have a specific diet that they follow. We take them for their regular scans and checkups. So I must then also, for that, for Lee and her team in our kennel facility and the puppy raising team that has to keep an eye on the pups also growing up and make sure that they are doing well and all of their things are up to date. That's also quite the job. Yeah.
I can imagine that must be really tough. And is there a formal retirement process? I mean, what generally happens in terms of these dogs? Are they adopted out to other families?
So it depends on the owner. So when we do have that conversation, or they will reach out to us oftentimes to say, look, I think my dog is at that stage where they need to retire. Our trainers will go and assess the situation. And then the owner, we always give them first option, either the owner or then the owner's family, because this dog has now been with them for 7, 8, 9 years, basically for their whole lives. And they are they have such a great bond, such a loving bond with that dog. We can't just take the dog away. So it's up to them. So they can decide whether they keep the dog as a retiree. And if it's going to be a bit tricky. So sometimes our guide dog owners, especially if you are younger, you get replacement dogs, or you can apply to get another guide dog, because you will live obviously much longer than your one guide dog. So in your lifetime, you could work possibly with 6, 7 or 8 guide dogs. It depends up until what age will you be using a dog. So just as an example, Peter van die Kerk, who's a colleague of mine at the Guide Dogs Association, he's working currently with his 8th guide dog, because he started in his early 20s. He applied for his first dog. So by that time, the owner needs to decide, can I take care of a retiree and also get a replacement dog? Is that something that's going to work in my family dynamics? Or the family will keep the dog, or if the dog is returned to guide dogs. So we never get rid of our dogs. So for our listeners, please, if the dog is now too old or they are retired, they have to go on pension, we keep them until they decide that it's time to go. So they are returned to the Guide Dogs Association, and oftentimes we then reach out to the puppy raiser, which is very special. So they were the family that was raising the pup many, many years ago, up until the point where they went into formal training. And we have some of our puppy raisers that then adopt the retiree that they helped raise many years ago. Oh. And then it's like full circle. So then they get to take care of them. Yeah, they get to take care of them for the last remaining years of their lives, which is so special. And very, very hard. It's heartbreaking, but also so precious. So then the puppy raiser often adopts that pensioner. Or if they also are not in a position to do so, we find an adoptive home for them. So a family, or maybe someone who's older, or maybe a family who has very young children, or is just starting out and they just want a very calm, socialized, well-behaved dog, maybe they can't commit for that long. So maybe it's an older person who just wants a companion or someone, or a dog, but they can't have a dog that's going to turn or live for another 15 or however many years. So they might adopt them as well to live their life with them. So we do find homes for them, and all of them always land up in wonderful, loving homes, because we do obviously make sure that we do very good checks and due diligence, and make sure that those dogs are taken care of.
They're very special dogs. I can imagine they're in demand.
Yes.
And in terms of your biggest misconception, because I know we're running out of time and I've got a gazillion questions and I'm very sad.
Yes.
But I don't want to lose the opportunity to ask you the biggest misconceptions that people have about guide dogs. What do you generally come across?
I think the most frequently asked question is, how does a guide dog read the traffic lights? Or how do they cross roads and they can see if the light is green, red, or orange, or when it's safe to cross? So it is a misconception because people think that the dog is making the decision when to go, when to cross, and when not to cross. But it's important to remember, and in any relationship with a working dog, whether it's guide or service or autism, the owner or the person is still the decision maker, and they still are the one that needs to decide when it is safe to go and when it's not. So when we train a guide dog owner with their dog, we always train them at traffic intersections to listen to the traffic. So they are using their other senses as well. If they can't see the traffic, they have to listen. And as soon as the traffic starts moving parallel with them, that's obviously the time that it's safe to cross. But in saying that, if, especially in South Africa, and as we know in busy city or urban areas, we do get people who don't adhere to traffic light signals. So there might be an occasion where a guide dog owner thinks that it's okay to cross, and as they start stepping off the curb, there is someone that's going to just come across anyway. And then the dog is actually taught to anchor or to just stop. So they won't move. They will still detect that it's a dangerous situation and they not move. And that person will then realize my dog isn't following my cues. It's not going and I'm saying we need to go. So obviously there's something, and then maybe a car zooshes by. So the dog is still listening to the owner's instruction or the cue that the owner is giving. But if it is a dangerous situation, they are also trained to then not move. So it really, but they are still the decision makers. They also still need to know where to go, because children would ask me, or youngsters would ask me, can the dog go to Pick and Pay when the owner needs to go there? And I said, they can go to Pick and Pay, but the owner needs to know where Pick and Pay is or where the center is. You can't say to the dog in the morning, let's go to Pick and Pay, and they need to find the shop on your behalf, because they can't read, the name of the shop or the name of the center. So it is important that we teach the routes with the unit. So our trainers would say to the person, where do you go every day? What do you do? Where do you shop? And then we teach the dog with the owner as a unit to learn those routes. And over time, they actually would find Pick and Pay quite easily because they know we go there every single day. Yeah.
Oh, crazy. And if our listeners are inspired by the story and they want to help in some way, what is it that you guys need the most right now? How can our listeners support Guide Dogs SA?
So I think, just in general, we are registered as a non-profit organization. So we actually don't charge for the services that we offer to persons with disabilities or visual impairment. So our services are free of charge, and therefore we have to raise funds through all sorts of campaigns and events and fundraising opportunities and donations from the public to actually be able to support our operational costs that goes into the training. So people can visit our website. I think that's one of the best points of contact, is to go and see how to support. Where can I support? There's different campaigns that we run on there, competitions, events we do there. We also tell you more about service dog training, autism support dog, orientation and mobility, guide dogs. So go and read a bit about it. So if I can give the website details, they can visit us to see what's up and what's happening. So it's at www.guidedog.org.za. And there you can go and read about our services. How can you get involved? And if you have any more questions, you can also contact us. Our contact details will be on there as well for our email and our telephone number.
Thank you. And just as a parting last question for you, what would you say is the one thing you want everybody to know about the role that these dogs play in the lives of their owners?
I think it's important for us to tell people, because I know that the name of the organization, we are the SA Guide Dogs Association, to remember that we also have other services and that we serve a larger community than just the visually impaired community. And also, as much as we love our dogs, and they're obviously very smart and we think they are amazing and we treasure them and we are very proud of them, we are an organization that's mission is focused on changing the lives of people with disabilities. And our dogs, assistance dogs, are precious, and we do it we use them to do that, to change lives. And it's a very special thing that we are doing, but we are still a people's organization. And that is what our focus is always, is to enhance and change the lives of people with disabilities, give them independence and mobility so that they can become contributing, happy members of society. And I think that is something that as staff members at Guide Dogs, we're always so proud of to see that person walk off independently, happy, confident, out of their shell with their dog by their side. And that gives us such great joy.
This has been such an inspiring conversation, and I'm so grateful that you've taken the time out of your day to discuss this with me. It's like I absolutely spent my whole interview here with goosebumps because it's just so special. I mean, we are very privileged here at Hillcrest Veterinary Hospital to now have one of our patients who is a guide dog.
Oh, wonderful!
And we are very, very privileged, and we are hoping to best support the owner and this dog through hopefully what will be a lovely long life and companionship between the two of them.
Oh, wonderful!
And so, we're delighted to understand a little bit better and just to get some information behind it, because I think even in our position that I can say that there was a lot that you informed me about today. So I'm really, really grateful for the opportunity. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. No, thank you so much. We appreciate the opportunity as well to create more awareness for the association.
Absolutely. Like you said, it's a learning opportunity. And I think, your approach is that of just informing more and more people about, how to handle these dogs, how to speak to their owners, how to support the organization. And congratulations on 72 years. That's a phenomenal achievement.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So thank you so much again. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode on the Pause and Effect podcast. If you found the discussion helpful, please like, share, and follow our podcast. Don't forget to leave us a comment or review. We love hearing from our listeners. Remember, you can listen to us on your preferred podcast platform. Welcome back to Just for Pets. You're with Dr. Cara.
Hi, Doc. It's Jackson the Jack Rossi here, and boy, am I itchy.
Are you on a hypoallergenic diet?
Hyper what now?
Changing to a special diet will really help. And Just for Pets have a massive range. And flea and tick medication, special shampoo.
Ooh, how quick can you get some?
Order today and we'll deliver pronto.
I feel better already.
Justforpets.co.za. Vet approved, pet adored. Get it all to your door.